In the dimly lit corridors of Georgetown, a quiet unease settled over the MacNeil residence. Chris MacNeil, a renowned actress, had relocated with her young daughter, Regan, for a film shoot that promised success. Little did they know that their new home held a sinister, secret, strange occurrences began to unfold around Regan. Shadows danced in the corners of her room, and a chilling breeze whispered through the halls. At first, Chris dismissed these oddities as mere figments of an overactive imagination. But as Regan's behavior spiraled into madness, she could no longer deny the supernatural force at play. Desperation clung to Chris. As she sought help from the medical profession, doctors puzzled over Regan's symptoms, unable to explain the sudden shifts in personality and the otherworldly strength that seemed to possess her. As the days passed, Regan's one sinister eyes darkened, and an ominous presence took hold. In a last-ditch effort to save her daughter, Chris turned to Father Damien Karras, a Jesuit priest and psychologist. Karras, burdened by his own crisis of faith, was reluctant to accept the supernatural explanation. However, the evidence grew undeniable as he witnessed Regan's grotesque contortions and heard the guttural growls emanating from her. Reluctantly, Karras enlisted the help of Father Merrin, an experienced exorcist who had battled the forces of darkness before. Together, they confronted the malevolent entity within Regan. The room became a battleground between the sacred and the profane, a place where prayers clashed with demonic roars. The exorcism was a harrowing ordeal, testing the priest's resolve and challenging their beliefs. The air thickened with the stench of sulfur, and the temperature plummeted as the demonic force fought to maintain its grip on Regan's soul. Shadows writhed, and unearthly voices echoed through the room, driving the priests to the brink of despair. As beads of sweat rolled down Father Merrin's furrowed brow, he invoked the divine with unwavering determination. With each prayer, the grip of darkness weakened, and Regan's contortions gradually subsided. The battle reached its climax as the room shook with unseen forces, and finally, in a blinding flash, the demonic entity was expelled, leaving behind a shattered but liberated Regan. The MacNeil residence, once plagued by malevolence, returned to an eerie calm. Chris and Regan, scarred by the supernatural encounter, struggled to rebuild their lives. The memory of that fateful night lingered in the air, a reminder that some horrors could not be escaped but must be confronted, even at the risk of one's faith and sanity. In the aftermath of the exorcism, the MacNeil residence stood as a haunted relic of the battle between the sacred and the profane. The scars of the supernatural clash manifested in the cracked walls and flickering lights that whispered tales of the otherworldly struggle. Despite the apparent calm that settled over Georgetown, the MacNeil family could not escape the trauma that clung to their home. Chris MacNeil, emotionally drained and haunted by the memories of her daughter's possession, sought solace in her work. Yet, even the glamour of the film industry couldn't erase the shadows that danced at the periphery of her vision. Regan, though physically freed from the demonic entity, bore the weight of the experience in her vacant stares and the haunted echoes of her laughter. Father Damien Karras, too, grappled with the aftermath. The once skeptical priest found himself questioning the boundaries between the tangible and the supernatural. The demonic encounter had torn at the fabric of his faith, leaving him with a sense of spiritual vulnerability. as he continued his duties. The weight of the unseen world pressed upon him, and doubt gnawed at the edges of his convictions. Father Merrin, the seasoned exorcist, withdrew into a contemplative solitude. The ordeal with Regan had taken a toll on his aging body and weary soul. In the quiet moments, he pondered the nature of evil and the thin veil that separated the material realm. From the infernal depths, the echoes of past battles lingered in his mind, a constant reminder of the relentless forces that sought to breach the defenses of the mortal world. As months passed, the MacNeil residence became a topic of hushed whispers among the locals. Some claimed to hear faint echoes of unearthly voices in the dead of night, while others reported witnessing shadows that moved with a malevolent intent. The house stood as a reluctant monument to the supernatural, an ominous reminder that the battle between good and evil left scars that transcended time. One stormy night, as the winds howled and rain beat against the windows, a distant peal of thunder seemed to awaken the dormant malevolence within the house. The flickering lights sparked to life with an unnatural glow, casting long, twisted shadows on the walls. Unseen whispers filled the air, and the temperature plummeted, freezing the very breath of anyone brave enough to step inside. Chris MacNeil, drawn by an inexplicable force, found herself standing in the doorway of her daughter's room. The air thickened with an oppressive energy, and a spectral figure materialized before her, the very entity that had tormented Regan. Its eyes gleamed with a sinister intelligence, as it whispered dark secrets that only a mother's heart could comprehend. Regan, caught in the crossfire of spiritual forces, hovered between two worlds, her eyes reflecting the eternal struggle within. The macabre dance of light and shadow continued, and the house became a battleground, once more a nexus where the veil between dimensions wore thin. As the storm raged outside, the unresolved echoes of the past collided with the present, and the MacNeil residence became a nexus of supernatural turmoil. The forces that had been unleashed refused to be confined to the annals of history, and the line between nightmare and reality blurred once more. The legacy of the exorcism lived on, and the malevolent presence that had been banished sought a path back into the mortal realm, hungry for redemption or revenge.